What else could be something that would make you want to leave me or really consider leaving me?
If you gambled all our money and we were homeless.
If I gambled all of our money, well, I'm not a gambler, but...
if you did something stupid and lost all the money that we had and we went back to having no money at all...
That would be a pretty hard one.
What if I lost the money? Would you leave me of it? Let's say I had like...
You have $100,000
in the bank. And I went shopping and I lost it all. Buying junk and junk after
I'm
junk.
trying to imagine. So I have a friend who actually, and I don't know exactly how it did, but he had a similar situation where he lost like $100,000 of the money that he and his wife had saved. And I think they must have talked about it because it wasn't like behind her back, but it was his choice. And I'm guessing that he also really like pushed her to like say yes to this thing, right? And then he carried this amazing guilt. It's done something interesting in their relationship. And I think one of those things is now he's just like, I'm not invincible. Like I owe you for the rest of my life. I'm so sorry. It was like really hard. Like I can imagine, I think the hardest thing for me is my anger towards you. Like I would be really angry and I don't think I would necessarily leave you over something like that. But what I could very much see that would lead me to leave you is like my anger towards you and then that anger infesting everything in our lives. And eventually that would just crumble everything. Like the entanglement or the STD probably would not, those two things just like literally don't bother me that much. But
it's kind of funny because the money doesn't bother me that much.
So like if I squandered $100,000 of our money, just like I did something stupid, whatever,
I would not even consider leaving you.
But you'd be furious with me.
I would be furious. I would scream at you. And every time I open the fridge, and that is if we have a house at that point, I would be like,
and you're like,
dude, we have no food because of you. Like I would definitely remind you every single minute. But then I feel like money is something that I can make. Yeah. It's like money is something that I can kind of like not pretend, but I feel like I can start over again.
Okay. Now, fascinating. Yes, I think that's true. But now if you take that same idea to like, I can build it myself. One of the things that when comes into like an affair or whatever is this idea that my trust has been broken.
Correct.
Right? We had an agreement and the agreement has been broken. Now, when you look at money and say, hey, I can go and I can make that again, I can rebuild it. I think our cultural understanding of relationships is once trust has been broken, you can't get it back in the same way you can make money back.
Okay, I think I have to say, I think also what happens is like when the man, in some ways, I feel like women, you've told me this, like women cheat 50% of the time, they just never get caught. But I think what happens is that when a woman, and I don't know this for sure, but I feel like when cheating happens, when the man cheats, our society has made it over the years that it's the woman's fault.
Really?
You know? Yeah.
Huh. I never would have thought.
Yeah.
That.
It's like there's something like maybe you were not good enough. You were not skinny enough.
Does our society think that, or does that how women internalize it? Because I feel like our society says if a man cheats, if anybody cheats, like be done. Like even on my online men group that I run, it's like, is that people come and they're like, oh, some people say like, what should I do if like I found out that my wife's cheating on me? And a lot of people are like, leave. There's no coming back from that.
Okay. I think for a woman, because most women actually get cheated on and they don't leave. So there's so many reasons as to why women don't leave. There's children, there's finances, So for a man, it's kind of like easy to just say like leave because it's all emotional. But for a woman to leave, most women in the world, leaving is just not just leaving, But I think that there's that thing of like where women feel like I could have done better. I could have done, it's like, it's my fault,
Yeah.
So...
Whereas a man would say, if a woman cheats, like, what did she do? Like, what's wrong with her? Like, she's terrible.
Yeah.
Whereas a woman will say, what did I do wrong?
Yeah. Like right now, even when I think about what Jada and Will's, what happening is like, not so much like what's wrong with him. It's like, what's wrong with him that he's still with her. But it's not what's so wrong with him that she chose to have this affair.
Right.
you know. So I think like we're looking at it very differently. Like when a woman cheats and when a man cheats, society sees it very different. And not to say, I think like we do care what other people say and what other people think. And I think even in like choosing to stay or to leave, sometimes I would want to say it's because of what other people think.
Why people leave or stay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, because if you leave, you also don't, if you stay, you don't have to tell anybody else about it.
Correct.
You can be like, you know what, we're going to sweep this one under the rug. But if I leave, the question's always like, oh, what happened? What happened? What happened? And I don't want to deal with that because it's a failure on my part. It's a failure. I mean, but I think people feel like failures all the time. I mean, this is going to be my second long-term marriage. And I assume once I get down on my knee at some point, oh my God.
Yeah, we're still not married. So let's just be clear on that.
But like when my first marriage was falling apart, like to me, the thing was like, why am I failing? And I felt like a total failure. And I know that's part of what kept me much, much longer than I otherwise would. It was my sense that I'm failing and I'm not a failure, so I can make this work. I'm not going to fail. I'm not going to fail.
Interesting.
Yeah. But, so yeah, this kind of
Are
question.
you still feeling like
No.
you could have done something to save that marriage?
Nope.
Do you feel like you put everything you got
into saving it?
Yeah.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. And that actually feels really good. But that also, this time I'm talking about that failure feeling was probably 2 or 3 years before I knew for sure. Because then I was like, I'm committing 110%. And we could talk about this another time, but that was like this major commitment in changing my life and taking 100% responsibility for everything and not blaming for anything. And that was a pretty powerful experience that actually allowed that to be a real free choice and not a choice of I'm angry and therefore I'm leaving because I'm angry.
Got it.
Yeah. So that was kind of like, so money, that doesn't bother you. Yeah. I
just feel like money is money. Money can be made.
Yeah, I appreciate that about you, and I think that's wonderful. I know that would be harder for me, but I don't think it would. For me, it wouldn't be the money. To me, it would just be like there would be things that would kind of like eat at me, and I think that's probably, if I think about like the affair thing too, I think that's even probably what it is too. For a lot of times, and let's go back to Will and Jada for a moment, is like the problem. Obviously, the problem he had whenever that came up was not the affair, but the why of the affair. Like, why are you doing this? And then they healed the why, and then the what became less important. Because she can't ever go back and not have that affair. She can't change that.
No.
But the why, like why she felt that she needed to do that. What was wrong with her in her own codependency that she talked about and all this stuff. Like what was this in her that led her to do that? That she can fix. And she did. And so Will's like, okay, what you did sucks, but why you did it really sucks, and you fixed the why. And I feel like that's for me too, is like if you had an entanglement, I would be like, why? And then the part that's for me to deal with, I could deal with. If you deal with the why, then to me I don't have a problem with it.
I don't think I'll look at it in the same way as you would.
Yeah. I hear that. Yeah.